My shift started like any other. 8 months pregnant with triplets, swollen ankles, and a uniform that barely buttoned. I was juggling trays and customer complaints at Maxwell's cafe, praying I could make it through without passing out. Then my phone vibrated in my apron pocket. Again. The third missed call from my mother. I finally texted, "I'm working. Is everything okay?" Her reply came seconds later. "Come home. Now. It's urgent." I didn't have a choice. I asked my manager for an early out. He frowned but let me go. I called a cab and rode silently, rubbing my stomach as the babies kicked wildly inside. When I arrived at my parents' estate, yes, estate, I knew something was wrong. The curtains were drawn, the door wide open. Inside, the air was tense. My father stood with his arms crossed. My mother sat stiffly on the sofa, her face pale but unreadable. And beside them, my older brother, Thomas, arms folded like he was bracing for a courtroom battle. "What's going on?" I asked, stepping inside. My father's jaw clenched. "We had a visitor today from the hospital." My stomach twisted. "Hospital?" "They said you refused further prenatal care," my mother said coldly. "That you missed your last 2 appointments. Do you have any idea how that reflects on us?" "I didn't refuse. I couldn't afford it," I snapped. "You cut me off after I refused to name the baby's father." "Because you got pregnant with triplets, Isla," Thomas chimed in. "And you still won't say who the father is. That's suspicious." My father stepped forward. "You either tell us the name now or leave this house. For good." My mouth went dry. "You'd throw me out? 8 months pregnant?" He didn't flinch. "You made your bed." "I won't tell you his name," I said, voice shaking. "It's complicated." My mother stood. "Then go. You're on your own." And just like that, I was disowned. I walked out into the night, suitcase in hand, heart shattered, babies squirming inside me. I barely noticed the car that stopped across the street. A man stepped out, tall, dark coat, striking eyes. He watched me like he knew me. "Isla," he said, voice soft but certain. I stopped cold. "Do I know you?" His next words chilled me. "I know you don't remember me, but I promised I'd find you and protect you, especially now." The man stepped closer, but carefully, like he didn't want to scare me. "My name is Elijah Cross. We met a long time ago, but you were too young to remember." I blinked. "How do you know my name? And what do you mean you promised to protect me?" He hesitated. "I can explain everything, but not here. Come with me, please. I have a place you can stay tonight. Safe, warm, no questions." I looked back at the mansion behind me. My family hadn't come out to stop me. They hadn't even looked through the window. I clutched my suitcase tighter. "Okay," I said, "but if this is some trick—" "It's not," Elijah said gently. "I swear it on my life." He opened the passenger door. I got in. As we drove through quiet streets, I finally asked, "So, who are you really?" Elijah stared at the road for a moment, then sighed. "I knew your mother. A long time ago. We were close. Before she married your father." I frowned. "You're saying, what? That you were friends?" His voice dropped. "Isla, I think I'm your real father." My heart slammed in my chest. "What?" "She never told me she was pregnant. I didn't find out until years later. I tried to reach her, but she'd already married Charles. They wanted to bury the past." "That's not possible," I whispered. "She would have told me." "Would she?" he asked. "She just threw you out into the cold." I stared at him, brain spinning. "I don't expect you to believe me yet," he added, "but I've followed your life from afar, quietly. I never wanted to interfere, until now." My hands trembled. "You said you promised to protect me." "I made that promise the day I found out about you, and I'm keeping it." When we arrived at his apartment, it was warm, modern, and strangely peaceful. He made tea, gave me blankets, and let me rest. But even as I lay there, mind racing, I knew this was just the beginning. Because if Elijah was telling the truth, My entire life was a lie. I didn't sleep that night. Elijah let me stay in the guest room, but sleep wouldn't come. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my parents' cold faces, and Elijah's expression when he said, "I think I'm your real father." By morning, my head ached from the storm of emotions. Elijah knocked gently on the door. I made breakfast. I emerged slowly. He handed me a cup of warm tea. "I imagine you have questions," he said. I laughed bitterly. "That's one way to put it." He nodded. "Let me start from the beginning." Over the next hour, he explained everything. He met my mother, Cecilia, when they were both in college. She was engaged to someone else, my father, but they had a brief affair. It ended abruptly and she cut ties. Years later, Elijah saw a photo in a business article. My mother with 2 children. One of them looked just like him. He tried to reach out. She ignored him. He hired a private investigator, confirmed the timeline, and even did a secret DNA test with a discarded hairbrush from a charity gala I once attended. "It was a match," he said quietly. 99.9%. I sat in silence, processing. "But why now?" I finally asked. "Why show up when I'm at my lowest?" "Because that's when I knew you needed me most, and because—" He paused. "There's more." He pulled out a document, an old letter worn at the folds. "She wrote this to me years ago. Never sent it. I only got it last month from someone in her old sorority." He handed it to me. My hands shook as I unfolded it. The words hit me like a train. "I'm pregnant, and I don't know how to tell you. I'm scared, and Charles says it would ruin everything. But part of me hopes you find out one day. Her name will be Itla. I hope she finds the truth." My mother's handwriting. Proof. Tears spilled down my cheeks. "I believe you," I whispered. Elijah smiled faintly. "Then let me help you now. You and the babies." But just as I began to feel safe, the past came knocking again. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You don't know who you're dealing with. Stay away from Elijah, or you'll regret it." My stomach dropped. Someone didn't want the truth to come out, and they were watching. I stared at the message on my phone, my pulse racing. "You don't know who you're dealing with. Stay away from Elijah, or you'll regret it." No name, no context, just a threat. "Elijah?" I called softly from the living room. He appeared from the kitchen, drying his hands on a towel. "Everything okay?" I hesitated, then showed him the message. His brow furrowed. "Blocked number?" I nodded. "I haven't told anyone where I am, not even my best friend." He took the phone and read it again, jaw tightening. "It's starting." "What is?" I asked, heart in my throat. "I didn't just come into your life, Isla, because I missed you." He sat down slowly. "There's more you need to know." I sat across from him, already bracing myself. "Your mother's family must They aren't just wealthy. They're powerful, politically connected, and when your mother married Charles Whitmore, she stepped into a world that doesn't tolerate scandals, especially ones that could destroy their legacy." I shook my head. "So, they're trying to keep this hidden?" "They have for decades," he said. "I stayed quiet out of respect, but now that you've been cast out, pregnant, and the truth is close to surfacing, they're scared. They think I'm going to expose everything." My throat tightened. "Are you?" Elijah leaned forward. "Only if you want me to. This is your life, your choice." "I just want to be safe for the babies. We'll make sure of it." He reached into his coat and pulled out a folder. "Which is why I've arranged something." Inside was a lease for a new apartment, fully furnished, safe location, paid in full for a year. "Elijah," I started, eyes welling up. "It's not charity," he said gently. "It's family. And no one threatens my daughter." But even as I moved into the new place the next day, a black SUV idled across the street. It didn't move. It didn't honk. Just sat there, watching. And deep in my gut, I knew. The Whitmores were far from finished. The next few days passed in tense silence. Elijah installed security cameras. He gave me a direct line to a private investigator he trusted. And though I tried to go about my new life, Visits to the doctor, long naps between the kicks and cravings, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was always 2 steps behind me. Then one morning, I received a certified letter. The sender? Whitmore Legal Group. Hands shaking, I opened it. It was a cease and desist. They were demanding I stop falsely associating the Whitmore family with the unborn children, accusing me of defamation and reputational damage. They threatened legal action if I continued to spread unverified paternity claims. Tears pricked my eyes. I never said a word publicly, never posted anything, but they were trying to silence me preemptively. When Elijah saw the letter, he barely flinched. "This is a scare tactic," he said. "A way to rattle you into silence." "It's working," I whispered. He leaned in. "Do you want me to step back?" I looked at him, really looked at him. The man who'd saved me from the street, protected me, believed me. "No," I said. "I want to fight." That night, I reached out to a reporter who once interviewed the Whitmores for a magazine feature. Her name was Camilla Grant, fierce, unafraid, the kind of journalist who lived for stories with buried secrets. We met the next day at a cafe. She listened as I laid everything out, the rejection, the threats, the letter, Elijah's claim, and then she said something that froze me in my seat. "You're not the only one who's contacted me about the Whitmores," she said quietly. "There's another woman, different state, same story, hidden pregnancy, paid silence. It seems they have a history." I leaned forward. "You think this goes deeper?" "I know it does," Camilla replied. "And if we uncover it, it could bring the whole dynasty down." But exposing the truth came with risk. And we were already being watched. By the time the weekend came, I was on edge. The black SUV was still there. Sometimes it would vanish for hours, only to return again. Elijah suspected they were waiting for a moment to strike. So, we gave them one. On Sunday afternoon, Camilla published the first part of her exposé, The Whitmore Legacy, Built on Secrets. It didn't mention names yet, but it raised enough questions to make the phones at Whitmore Holdings light up. That night, Elijah knocked on my door with a small cold box. "What's that?" I asked. He held it up. "A DNA kit. Expedited," I swallowed. "Are we really doing this?" He nodded. "If you want peace of mind, and the truth legally established, it starts here." We each took the swabs in silence. The moment felt heavy, surreal. After we sealed the package, I looked up at him. "What if they try to make this disappear?" "They'll try," he said, "but not before the results hit the court record." Because Elijah had already contacted an attorney, someone willing to file a paternity claim the moment the results came back, not just for me, but for them, my babies. "I want their birth certificates to tell the truth," I said, placing my hand over my stomach. He smiled. "They will." The next morning, the SUV was gone, but it was replaced by something worse. An envelope shoved under my door. Inside, photos. Me, Elijah, Camilla. Even my doctor's office. A single note accompanied them. "Back off, or next time it won't just be photos." I froze. Then something else fell out of the envelope. A folded newspaper clipping. About a woman named Sarah Whitmore. Her face was eerily similar to mine. And the headline? "Heiress missing since 1999. Family declares her dead." My heart thundered, because the photo wasn't just similar to me. It was me, but with a different name. And suddenly, everything I knew about my identity cracked wide open.